Unspoken Goodbyes, Chapter 1. The gentle buzz of keyboards echoed across the open-plan office like a soft symphony of diligence. Phones rang in the background, muffled conversations lingered in the air, and the scent of freshly brewed coffee danced its way from the break room into every cubicle. It was a typical weekday morning at one of the city's renowned corporate firms, where employees had already settled into their daily routines, well-dressed, well-mannered, and focused. Among them was Paige Miller, a 25-year-old administrative executive whose presence could brighten even the dullest corners of the office. With her soft brown eyes, gentle smile, and an innate ability to remain calm amidst chaos, she had earned herself not just respect but quiet admiration from everyone around her. Her long dark hair was usually tied into a sleek ponytail, and her fashion was modest but elegant, always appropriate, always tasteful. Though Paige had only been working there for a few years, her helpful nature, emotional intelligence, and work ethic had made her the go-to person for many things, be it a professional task or a personal problem. She remembered everyone's birthdays, brought in cookies during the holidays, and was the first to volunteer for any team event. Her world was structured, safe, and full of quiet routines she had grown to love. She sat at her desk like any other day, sipping from her favorite teal coffee mug while scrolling through morning emails. A spreadsheet awaited final adjustments, and a meeting invite blinked on her screen. Across the hall, a few people gathered near the elevator, whispering about a new employee who was joining the Data Insights department on the same floor. Paige barely registered the conversation. New hires came and went all the time. She turned her attention back to her task, fingers dancing across the keyboard. Around 10:30 a.m., as the hallway buzzed again with footsteps, Peter Collins walked into the building for his first full day of work. He was 22, freshly graduated, eager, and admittedly a little nervous. With a crisp white shirt tucked neatly into tailored pants, his clean-cut appearance gave away his effort to make a good impression. He was tall, with a calm, observant demeanor, the kind of person who didn't speak unless necessary, but when he did, made people listen. As fate would have it, Peter's department was situated just a few desks away from Paige's, separated only by a partial glass partition. Their worlds, though different in designation and duty, were suddenly close in proximity. Peter spent the first hour getting orientation, meeting with his manager, setting up his email, and walking through the company tools. At some point, he was asked to collect a data report his team needed from Paige's department. That's when it happened. He walked up to her desk, slightly hesitant but trying to appear confident. "Hi, I'm Peter," he said, offering a polite smile. "I just joined the Data Insights team. I was told you could help me with the monthly report." Paige looked up, her face softening with one of her warm signature smiles. "Welcome, Peter. Of course. Just give me a second and I'll pull it up for you." Their exchange was brief, friendly, professional. But something about the way Peter thanked her, his slight awkwardness mixed with sincerity, left a small imprint on Paige. Nothing more than a blip. Still, she found herself glancing toward his desk once or twice that afternoon, surprised to find him already deep in his work. As the days passed, their interactions remained casual, a polite "hi" here, a nod there. Occasionally, Peter would walk by and ask a question or clarify something with her team, always choosing Paige when possible. She noticed it but didn't read too much into it. After all, he was new, and she was helpful to everyone. Yet small moments kept adding up. A smile exchanged in the break room. A conversation about printer jams. One day, while both were grabbing coffee at the same time, Peter casually asked, "Do you usually take your coffee black?" She laughed. "Only when I'm desperate for energy. Otherwise, I need at least 2 sugars and almond milk." "Noted," he said with a grin, walking away. It wasn't flirtation, not yet, but there was comfort, and comfort often paves the way for connection. A couple of weeks later, the company announced an office-wide celebration for Environmental Day. Employees were split into mixed department teams to plan activities and campaigns. Paige and Peter ended up on the same team. It was the first time they worked closely, brainstorming ideas and coordinating posters. Their interactions grew longer. Laughter came easier. Jokes flowed naturally. They learned that they lived just 15 minutes apart, had similar music tastes, and even frequented the same coffee shop without realizing it. That day, something shifted. Peter wasn't just the new guy anymore. He was now someone Paige enjoyed talking to, someone who made the office feel a little lighter. As she lay in bed that night, scrolling through her phone, she paused on the team photo taken during the event. She zoomed in, noticing her own smiling face beside Peter's. For the first time, her heart fluttered. She didn't know what it meant yet. She didn't know where it would lead, but she couldn't deny that something had begun, something small, something soft, but something real. The weeks following Environmental Day flowed smoothly, filled with subtle new energy. The campaign had been a success, with green banners decorating the office walls, employees planted tiny succulents on their desks, and a sense of unity had been built between departments that rarely interacted. For Paige, though, something more personal had changed. Peter Collins wasn't just another name in the company directory anymore. He was now part of her world, unexpectedly, but steadily. Though their desks were in different departments, they shared the same floor and passed each other often. The once casual greetings had evolved. Their smiles had become warmer, longer. A hi was now often followed by, "How's your day going?" or a shared comment about something funny overheard in the break room. One ordinary Tuesday afternoon, Peter walked over to Paige's desk, holding a folder in one hand and his phone in the other. "Hey," he began, a little hesitantly. "I'm trying to pull together a few numbers for a quarterly projection, and I think your team's data might help. Would you mind helping me look at something quick?" "Of course," Paige replied, pushing her chair back and motioning for him to sit next to her at the spare chair by her desk. As they worked side by side, their arms occasionally brushed. Neither pulled away. They were both focused, but the silence between them was easily comfortable in a way Paige hadn't experienced with many people. When they finished the task, Peter leaned back in the chair, stretching slightly. "Thanks, Paige. You always make things easier." She laughed softly. "I guess I've just been here too long." He turned toward her. His tone suddenly became more personal. "Actually, I've noticed how everyone here really looks up to you. You're different from most people I've met, in a good way." The compliment took her by surprise. She smiled, unsure how to respond. "Thanks, that's sweet of you to say." A tiny pause settled between them, just long enough to feel significant. Then Peter broke it. "Hey, random question. There's that office party next Friday, right?" "Yes, the spring mixer," Paige said. "Should be fun." "Well," he said, scratching the back of his neck, "I'm still figuring out the social circles around here. Would you maybe want to go together? I mean, since we live close by and all." Paige blinked, mildly caught off guard not by the question itself, but by how naturally it came. He wasn't asking for a date, not exactly. It was practical, friendly, but it also wasn't just that. She tilted her head thoughtfully. "Sure, why not? It'll be fun." And with that, something else shifted. That night, Paige couldn't sleep as easily as usual. She kept wondering, was it just a ride to the party? Or was it something more? She didn't have an answer, but she knew she wanted to find out. The party day, the week passed by. Paige busied herself with reports and meetings, but a part of her was unusually aware of the calendar. Friday loomed closer, and the thought of the party, of going with Peter, lingered in her mind. On the day of the party, she left the office early to get ready. She stood in front of the mirror in her room, wearing a beautiful light pink gown with soft curls framing her face. Her makeup was delicate peachy tones, soft mascara, and a touch of gloss. The heels were high, but worth it. At exactly 5 p.m., her phone rang. "Peter, I'm downstairs." With one last glance in the mirror, she whispered to herself, "You've got this," grabbed her clutch and walked out. She opened the front door to find Peter standing by his car in a tailored black suit, looking sharper than she'd ever seen him before. He looked up and truly saw her, and smiled. "Wow, you look beautiful." Paige felt her cheeks warm. "Thank you, you look nice too." They drove to the party with soft music playing in the background. Neither spoke much during the ride, but it wasn't uncomfortable. There was anticipation, quiet excitement, and neither knew how to put into words. When they arrived at the venue rooftop with fairy lights and music humming in the air, they stepped out together, and all their eyes turned toward them. "You two look amazing," someone from their office called out. As they walked in, Paige felt something she hadn't expected: pride. She didn't feel awkward or uncertain. She felt good and comfortable beside Peter. Throughout the night, they mingled with their respective groups, but their eyes kept meeting across the room. When she laughed with her friends, she noticed Peter watching. When he was speaking to someone new, he'd glance toward her, as if checking in silently. Later, they met again on the dance floor, bumping into each other as if it were a coincidence. "It's already past midnight," Paige said, slightly breathless from dancing. Peter smiled. "Should we head back?" She nodded. On the way home, the city lights blurred through the car windows as music played softly. Neither of them spoke much. Both were processing, feeling, wondering. When they reached her house, Peter walked her to the door. "Thanks for tonight," he said. "Thank you," Paige replied. He looked like he wanted to say more but didn't. "Good night, Paige." "Good night, Peter." She watched him leave, her heart a quiet whirlwind. She didn't know what this night meant or what came next, but she knew something had begun, and she was ready to see where it led. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe to hear the next part of the story.